Hello, everyone. Let us start our today's session. So thank you all for joining our webinar. So today's topic that we are going to cover scaling omnichannel from the global to affiliates and vice versa. And first of all, let us present ourselves. So my name is Vlada Komarenko, and here at VISEVEN, I'm working as a digital excellence manager. So basically, I'm responsible for communication with our existing and prosperous clients. And for today's session, I would be happy to answer all of your questions and present you our vision. And I think my colleague Pavel will follow me.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Pavel. If you want, you can call me Paul. I am responsible for the omnichannel department in our company. So for this kind of this journey, technical things, and so on. So we're also kind of ready to cover some topics and answer your questions.
Let's move on. So for today's webinar, so we are planning to cover the following agenda. So basically, we are going to the omnichannel topic. So where we are going to cover like two levels, like global and local, and welcoming part on the real world and how it can actually be established for the clients. In addition, we are going to cover the three typical scaling scenarios, why also we need the holistic harmonious evolution. And in addition, so we are going to highlight the best practices, the question on the KPIs, and slightly go through the topic of content, which is also very important when it comes to the omnichannel part. So let us then start. So in addition, throughout the conversation, we are appreciating you raising up the hands and or even like typing through the chat all of your questions. So to make our conversation in a way more interactive, we would be happy to unmute you and give you a chance to voice out your question and just during the live demonstration, or we can follow the Q&A session at the end. So please feel free to choose the more comfortable way as you like. So let us dive deep in the topic of the omnichannel, and basically when we are starting the discussions on the omnichannel topic, which are right now of very high popularity. So usually, let's say a couple of years ago, this topic was actually just became more popular, and the popularity of the omnichannel were rising, especially throughout the last year, according to the pandemic situation, where we need to find out the more efficient way of how we are going to reach our target audience. And for now, we actually got the crucial stats that for now more than 51% of the companies, so they are right now trying to adopt more and more channels to their communication strategy with the audience. And for now, we have, let's say, the following statistic that about half of the companies, so they are already adopted more than 8 channels to interact with their customers. And of course, when it comes to the budgeting question, so we have real rising in the customer journey management and of course the multi-channel campaign management. So let us go on. And here we are always asking the question, but actually, why do the companies, or we as the company stakeholders or the marketeers, or thinking why we didn't actually need the omnichannel, and what are the key benefits of it? So when we are usually thinking and analyzing, even like creating the certain vision of the omnichannel campaign, we are usually bearing in mind the target audience we are going to deliver our key message. So usually we as the people, we are actually having our common and own interest, our own needs, and of course all we are like different with different psychological profiles, profiles. And once we are thinking about the creation of the campaign, we also need to bear all of these things in mind. Right now on this very slide, we are actually highlighting the concept on the channels and the content, but the most crucial thing here is actually the choice. So basically, pharmaceutical companies are able to adopt more and more channels to their communication strategy, starting from the remote calls, emails, webinars, and so on and so forth. But to supply the proper channel mix, and we need also to bear in mind the choice that is going to be made by our audience. So basically, according to the interest and according to the need, our target audience can prefer any channel from the listed, and but still we need to deliver the relevant key message no matter what channel we are using. And in addition, so we need to analyze the part in the content, which is also very crucial, as we are able to target our audience not only, let's say, with some static things, or we are able to choose either the stats or the visuals and so on and so forth. And actually all of those things are very connected to the digital personas we are going to aim or deliver our content to. And when it comes to the proper context mix, we need to actually understand the general things on the individuals. Right now on this very slide, we are highlighting the part on the omnichannel infrastructure and the content factory, just to follow the previous one. So here you can see the standard example of the omnichannel infrastructure, where in the center we do have the marketing automation system and additional channels which are going to be integrated together with the CRM and BI systems. But in any case, so the idea that we are trying to promote, that the omnichannel is not only the system, but this is more about the people who are going to also work on delivering the better result to the target audience. So in contrary, we have the concept of the content factory. So this is actually going to be the team who is going to orchestrate and be responsible for delivering the proper messages to the audience. So basically, we today, even on this webinar, we are trying to promote more the idea that the omnichannel, it's not the system. So let us jump to the next one. It's not like the system or like this the structure, but our, let's say, omnichannel vision is going to be an organism where all of the key things is going to be connected with each other, where we are going to build the proper infrastructure as in proper like live environment. So directly, just before we jump into the cases and going to have more dive deep in the practices that we would like to share with you today. So we are differentiating the like harmonious organism and the thing where the harmony is missing. And my colleague Pavel today will actually, according to the experience, share how we are visioning all of that.
Yeah, thank you, Vlada. So kind of our just remind that our main topic here is to cover the all these things when we're talking about the omnichannel, when we have these two major parts in structure inside the pharma, the global level and the local level. So in the more or less kind of ideal world, what should be doing and covered by the global. So in most cases, global should not maybe not every in every case they doing, but they should kind of build some general corporate communication and branding standards and passes to the local, create this omnichannel ecosystem, at least the main crucial parts, which is in most cases is marketing automation platform and the CRM, and scale it to the all countries. Analyze the different kind of this needs for the each region, and take into account these needs when building their corporate strategy and omnichannel infrastructure. And of course, some kind of cultural things, digital culture that should be spread among all the company. And of course, last but not the kind of the least, that all these kind of things about the ROI, about the KPIs, and about how we approach our strategy and how we shape our strategy, building the whole omnichannel. Okay, and the local level. So at the local level, they should kind of adopt these guidelines and take some suggestions and standards that is provided by the global, decided what they need at local level, how they can adjust what they get, try to define additional channel which is specific to the region, or that this channel is more important in your particular country, in your particular region, so you'll need to more focus on that channel and not only some mix that is provided by the global. And of course, some kind of flexibility regarding the national specific when we're talking about the culture. And of course, the KPI, the level of maturity, the competitor strategy, marketing situation varies from country to country. So in, as I said before, in more or less ideal world, there should be some sort of this part that is covered by the global and covered by the local level. But of course, it's only the ideal world. In reality, we see that there's a lot of issues, a lot of problem regarding these fields, and we can take it, we can make these conclusions from our experience, because we are talking with the different companies, has a project in different pharmaceutical companies in different countries, and see what is problem in each particular cases. And actually, this is a list of the problem is more or less similar from country to country, but the kind of the how big each issue is in each particular case, it really depends. So what is kind of the situation that's not so good when we're talking about this omnichannel in local and the global level? So of course, kind of global is not able to manage all the process. So each kind of country a little bit separated and really don't follow the general understanding of the whole company. And they're also kind of pretty common situation when the global start in some project trying to do something, but it's really taking time, and the local should wait. Why? When they really this global implement something, and this waiting can take even years. I'm sure that you already facing maybe some situation when you asking for something, when you're waiting for something, some infrastructure, some maybe guidelines and so on from global, and they just tell you to wait. Of course, there is kind of different reality in many aspects in global and in local level. So global think from their point of view, they understand and their situation, but you in country have can have a pretty different situation, and this kind of misunderstanding of this level can really impact the whole process. Of course, the budget, another important things: who is paying for what should be provided and paid by the global, what should be provided and paid by the local. All these kind of things is pretty a lot of misunderstandings there, and also not only misunderstanding, but also they're taking this process, launching the tenders and so on, pretty not so straightforward in many cases. And of course, regarding the channel mix, as we said before, that you should take into account your local specific, global not in all the cases take into account all specific, and can you give a couple of channels that is maybe not so relevant to your country. And of course, the same as for tools. For tools, that is some tools more relevant to global, but not so relevant to you. Okay, going forward, we're trying to all these kind of things, all these issued situations that we see across different countries and different companies, we're trying to shape and to group into three typical cases when we're talking about the omnichannel and scaling it. The first case is when the global is not so active, let's say even inactive, so they are not providing something valuable. They're not giving you the tools, they're not giving you guidelines, and so you don't have anything valuable from the global. In some cases, even anything from the global, just some part which is not so close to omnichannel. So in this case, it's kind of you just have no other way just to take initiative into your hands and trying to do what you can at local level. Of course, this kind of local initiatives has its own pros and cons. So of course you can shape it by yourself, but it will consumes a lot of kind of your efforts. You should have this proper team for this, some expertise. You need to do it by yourself. You need to spend all money for this. It can be quick, more quicker than this for global, of course. But kind of when global is providing you something, maybe it's also providing with some best practices, and you in most cases in local level don't have those best practices. So when you have this situation, it's pretty challenging, and you really need to find out what would be the best way for you in this case. So the second situation is the global trying to give you something, but once again they are telling to you that you should wait. They're building some infrastructure, they prepare some concept, they launch in some tenders, and you should wait. And sometimes it's really waiting can be frustrating. It can take years, as I mentioned before. So in this case, you really would like to start something. You need to start doing. You see, as your competitors really compete you in some ways, launching some advanced things and have the share of voice is growing, and you are just has to wait. It's really a frustrating situation, especially there's a lot of kind of a lot of issues when we're talking about the infrastructure, because if you don't have proper infrastructure, you really can't do much in this case. So it's pretty typical situation. And the yes, the second, the next one is when the global is provided with some infrastructure, some platform, some maybe guidelines, but you really struggle to understand what to do with all of this. You really need to have some resources, some expertise in order to launch at least something and to start this omnichannel project. And the third way is that then the global provides you with a tool and with some agency in most cases, which is can help you to run in the campaign. In some cases, it can be the best situation. Of course, it also has this kind of pros and cons. In some way, agency maybe not fully understand your specific. You really need to engage them into your current strategy, current situation that you have in your local markets. But what the agency really has and can share with you, it can share you with best practices regarding the content preparation, regarding the journey building, regarding the working inside the tools. So it's really kind of good situation, especially when the global is paying for the service and for the agency's services. Okay, let's go further. Of course, it's a good way when everything is going in this holistic, harmonious way. Evolution, you really kind of has this flexibility in channel. You adopt everything to your needs. You kind of properly working with the content. You receiving all the needed guidelines. You have this kind of some baseline that you can start from. But it's really not so common case, and not all the company has such a good situation. A couple of words regarding the channels and regarding the omnichannel experience from perspective of the users, of your subscribers. So it's a general research is telling us that when you have 3 or more channel in your digital channel, I'm not talking about the face-to-face right now, in your channel mix, in your campaign, in your journey, your engagement level of your journey and engagement level of your subscribers is increasing really significant. So it's really important for you to implement at least 3 or more channel into your omnichannel mix. It will give you this kind of tool, this possibility to really increase your effectiveness and performance of your campaigns, of your journeys. And also just to highlight that the omnichannel as a project, as a direction, can be implemented and utilized by for the different audience. So it's not only the HCP that is in most cases the main audience for the pharmaceutical companies, but it's also kind of important to remember that the same omnichannel approach, tools, and experience can be utilized and implemented for the patient support programs, really kind of good things for the pharmacist, and for the internal agents, internal kind of audience. When we're talking about the internal audience, we need to understand that in most cases, pharmaceutical companies, it's a pretty big structure with a lot of people working in this company. So it's really important to spread the ideas, to set up this proper communication between global and affiliates, between different affiliates. So this communication inside the company, it's pretty also important things. And we a lot of things situation in market when the global is doing something, but really cannot communicate it properly to the affiliates, to the local level, and local don't have even a clue what is going on, what should they wait for, what will global provide, and then. And this kind of separate internal campaigns, separate some omnichannel approach inside the company can help to bridge this gap in communication between different part of pharmaceutical company. Okay, let's go in further. So when we're talking about the omnichannel and how to implement it, how really kind of you can start the omnichannel as a project in your company. And here we also in practice split this into 2 main approach that company can use, and it's not only can but really kind of use in practice that we see in different pharmaceutical company. Of course, in 100% pure, this one on that one, it's maybe not so common case. In some ways, it's more than on this, but nevertheless, the first channel we call it evolution, and the second one we call it revolution. What does it mean kind of evolution approach? So evolution approach that you have something already and you just trying to evolve, trying to step by step moving forward. These steps of course can be really tiny. You can walk with little steps and trying to move your omnichannel project ahead, add some new channels slowly, add some new approaches, trying to migrate from the just separate communication to more sophisticated journey building. And of course, this kind of process can take a long time. The second one is a revolution project, and when it's then take place when the company understand from some point of time that they are really far behind on their omnichannel compared to general market, compared to competitors, and they're trying to from the very beginning launch it with a more power, more resources. So it's a separate dedicated team in global level and in local levels, dedicated budget, more ambition plans, and it's really a kind of powerful launch, especially from the early stages, that can bring you far ahead. Just within 1 year, for example, you really can achieve amazing results with the revolution approach. So going next. Okay, so what is the best practice in the scaling for omnichannel approach? So what things you should kind of understand from the very beginning, that it's a kind of thing that it really takes a lot of effort from the very beginning, that you should kind of create some part of this, some core part of this omnichannel structure, some processes, some content, appropriate content, and you kind of started to launch it. And before you kind of create this minimal minimal structure, and put minimal efforts, you really cannot do much. It will be just kind of words and nothing beside of this. And after that, you are starting to move forward with existing ecosystem and trying to move from the more advanced approach and trying to implement the best practices and more advanced kind of more advanced part. So it's really important to understand from the very beginning what would be your main steps, what would be the what would be the phase after which you can really start to do actual campaigns, and what would be the best next best action that you should take after each stage. And here you can see this these things there. At the horizontal level, you can see the some omnichannel maturity, and the vertical you see this technical kind of part that you should minimum implement. So the what would be inside of each stage, it's really depends from company to company, from project to project, but we're trying to give you the general overview. So in the lowest level, in the lower down left corner, you could see you have just separate different communication with some little infrastructure that you have. So when you're moving forward, so moving up, in most cases you kind of should take the steps and move to the customer journey, build a more kind of more sophisticated, more connected journeys, and bring more connected and engaging experience to your audience. After that, you can move at the same time, if you want, in two directions. You can move up with a more advanced technical and digital things, and you move kind of right to scale to just to implement more. When you're kind of go into more mature state, you can implement this more advanced personalization content and approach, trying to add additional channel, for example, messages or some other kind of advanced stuff. And after that, kind of you in the kind of final way, you can have all of this, and then this best kind of possible level, you really start to create something really new, and unique for your particular company, for your market, for your brands, and this kind of experience that is far beyond just the standard best practices. And really, when you kind of achieve this, it's really kind of the maximum things that can be done here. Of course, when we're talking about the efforts and how to move this project ahead, you of course understand that you need resources, proper resources, in order to do this, and the authority to move this project and to implement it. So you can, the first one in the red, you see something like a revolution approach that we discussed. So a lot of efforts in a short period of time that can help you to move forward. So in second case in evolution, this kind of efforts, its resources is more spread in time. So in most cases we can conclude that the efforts and resources can be more or less the same, but just kind of how many efforts you put in one period of time. How are you really ready to do this in a revolution way? And as we also mentioned before, what is important that you should start with is to define this kind of MVP, so minimal viable product. So this minimal infrastructure, minimal understanding, minimal planning phase, minimal content that you should have in order to start. From which point you really can start do omnichannel. What is your kind of possible really project go live? So when you define this, you really can't put it on your schedule, on your plan, and really can understand after what period you can really launch. And the most of important things here is that planning is kind of good things, but what you should do in any case, you should start doing. Of course, it's kind of not simple. Of course, it's a big things, big elephant. Big project to move. A lot of things should be done, and so on. But you should start doing with the mistakes, with all these difficulties. But without this doing, just going from conference to conference and talking about them channel, discussing it internally, and so on, you will not move forward. You should not lose the pace. You should kind of this at least with some little step, but moving forward. Never stop, because it really kind of bury all your previous efforts in this case. And regarding the mindset is pretty kind of not so easy part, and it's really hard to just to take it from somewhere and to have it in your company, to have in your mind, change this mind between someone that is more advanced in the omnichannel infrastructure. So in most cases, you need to start doing, you need to start implement something, you need to share experience internally, you need to analyze what you currently have, and after this kind of understanding is you grow this understanding, and after that it really will change your mindset. You will really start to think in omnichannel. You really start to planning your efforts in omnichannel way, and it really can change your mindset, change how you treat your communications, how you treat your planning phase and your KPIs, and what you can really can achieve. What we really kind of see when we're talking about the, once again, omnichannel and local and affiliate level, when going back to the situation where the global is really not providing you with a lot of things, we really saw a couple of times and really kind of was involved in project when the local launch this omnichannel project, put a lot of efforts, started to do something, yes, and really can achieve a good results even without the deep involvement of the global, and really can build its local expertise, infrastructure, proper planning, KPI system, and so on locally, and in 2 years achieve amazing results actually from scratch, from the really kind of low level of omnichannel maturity. It's really possible when you have the will. When there is a will, there is a way, of course, at least some resources, and this kind of this plan to change your current situation to better level. Regarding the KPI, it's a pretty big issue. I think we're in some nearest future will dedicate a separate webinar regarding the KPI. But what is the important part regarding the KPI? As all the pharmaceutical company has its own business KPI about the sales, about the prescription, about the coverage of your current database, and so on and so forth. So what really expertise you need to grow internally, and of course kind of agency also can help you with, but with this. But in any way, you should have some part of your expertise locally. You should really understand, your brand manager should understand, your business unit heads should understand how to transform your existing business KPIs into digital KPIs. Because when you trying to launch a journey, when you're trying to when you go into the agency and ask, guys, please kind of achieve these goals, but we need to double our sales into 1 year, it's really hard for the agency, for example, and for all the specialists who will run their actual campaigns without any really kind of all the data that you have, without the all 100% understanding of the situation, really to achieve it. Because it's not the each campaign that is responsible for the doubling this kind of sales level. You need to transform this big goal into little goals that it's can be measured on this digital level. For example, if you think that at some way, based on your experience, based on some your knowledge and analytics, that for example registration on the webinars or registration on the web portal will help you to reach your goal after some period of time, you really need to set up this goal for each separate campaign that we need to achieve by this couple of separate campaigns. We really need to achieve this 100 registration, for example, because without setting these kind of goals, without this transformation from global big business KPIs to the digital KPIs, it's really hard to measure something, and it's really hard to understand, do we really good on this track of achieving our goals. And of course, the second big crucial part of the omnichannel is the content itself. And here I just kind of let Vlada once again step in and tell you about the content.
Thank you, Paul. So when we are talking about the content, this is also one of the crucial things that we need to consider in mind, as from the statistic that we actually had from the 2019. So we highlighted here that about 58% of pharma and biotech companies spent about $50 million on content for each year. And basically, this is actually the tremendous numbers, but still the managers and the stakeholders, they do analyze and get not so good feedback in terms of their digitalization and their readiness in terms of the technological build-up, as we have the first report that there's, for example, not the right technology acquired, or they have of course the challenges on the digital execution. This is also the thing that we can consider on the enhancement in the future, and the same on the prioritizing the marketing activities, or even like toward from one audience to another. And this is actually the huge lack, and we actually from our side are trying to enhance and helping our clients in terms of the digital strategy, which is connected with the content. But when we are going to the next slide, so this is a fresh statistic from this year. So, and we actually get to know that in 2020, the healthcare companies, they spend the third part of their budget, like 33%, on the content creation. So basically, we can see the tendency that for now, the necessity of creating of content is actually rising even more. But the question which most of the companies are rising now, what kind of model they can choose to actually to create content faster, localize it faster, and deliver it faster to the local affiliates, plus how it's possible to build up the proper ecosystem and reduce the budget. So this is actually our vision and how we are usually collaborating with most of our clients when it comes to the content question. So on the one hand, we do have the concept of digital content factory, and in a simple words, it is a sort of service model where which we are providing as a company, and supplying our clients with a dedicated team which is going to cover all of their requests starting from the global to local offices, and be a sort of helping hand to enhance their digital strategy. So in this very scheme here, you can also see that we have not only the dedicated team, but also the technological build-up, which is actually not, which is also in a way important when it comes to the content delivery and its production. So in our experience, when we will move to the next slide, so we will be able to see the tendency which is very closely connected with the omni-channel initiatives, when we have the set of channels, when we have the content and the audience we need to deliver, and the same message that we are trying to bring to our customer might be actually perceived from any channel, either the face-to-face or email and the web page. And that's why from our experience, and actually due to our technology that we have, so we're helping our clients not only to speed up the content creation with the help of the system, with the help of which we as an agency are helping them localize, create the content faster, but create also the flexible and channel agnostic modules. So and this is actually a very important part to highlight in terms of the key takeaways that we will be able to summarize on the today webinar. First of all, I will start from the part on the omni-channel and the content part. So we're trying to just summarize like 7 key things. So in terms of the omni-channel, so we're thinking that this should be an organic and live environment. So when the company should have the correct scaling from global to local. So I think Paul can also just add in the omni-channel part here, in just in case there is the options, just like to highlight my words.
Yeah, so kind of the organic is the main key word here. So you really need to, by the organic, that in most cases you just need to, what we should kind of take when we dive deep into the organic as a word. What does it mean in our particular cases? That it should really work and work properly. So when you have some strategy, it should work for you, for your kind of country, for your situation. When you have some omnichannel infrastructure, it really can be utilized by you. You really can have a chance to utilize it. It's really give you the channels that it's relevant to you. If you have some tool, you really need to understand what to do with it. You will need at least have or internal expertise or some external agency to help you with it, with this kind of things. And this constant communication between global and local is really important from both sides. So if you are not getting a lot of understanding, a lot of communication from global, please kind of be insist, be more proactive and trying to understand, guys, what you will be help me with. Will you provide me with the tool or not? If not, can I do it myself? Can I use local agency or some other kind of agency to in order to launch this project? If you will launch some part by yourself, who will pay for what? If you will give me something when you will give me something. So just kind of ask. If you are global, yeah, so please kind of be not only set up in something, but try to communicate to locals with your plans, and try to give them that understanding what should they have prepared to, because this kind of local expertise, local understanding will not grow just in one day. You will not have the experts on some tools in one day. Going back, when you're local, you also start to need to be prepared from the very beginning and understand how you will move from this position and to this position. So this kind of proactiveness, this kind of at least some resources, this moving forward, started to do something is really important, because it's really frustrating when you are not moving forward, when you're not doing something, just discussing and discussing. It's really hard to start, and it's really not so easy when we just stop to discuss it and really to do something. So please do the steps and make constant communication between global and local and internally. Okay, I think now we can try to answer a couple of questions that we have in our Q&A sessions. Yep. So the first question is, will we share the slides after the webinar? Of course, we'll provide you with the presentation within the follow-ups. So also second one is, the last one is also important. I think we can answer for so are you able to support local level? Of course, we support local level. I think maybe half of our project is only dedicated to local. We not have the any kind of direct communication and not engage in the global. We're working just on the local level with what we have, with what we can do at the local level, and in some cases pretty successful cases when the local have this kind of needed authority, have some tool, or at least this will to implement this tool. And we really see the good cases when the local started this project, starting from scratch, started to do something, and this mindset growing, this understanding is growing in parallel with our kind of initial steps. So we, for example, can help you as an agency to do something, and when we're trying to plan it, when we're trying to implement it, in parallel with this, you will also grow your local expertise. And what is really a good agency doing, and we try to be a good agency in this manner, we are not trying to lock everything on our site and not sharing anything. So we really try to engage companies and local affiliates to work together. So what we're trying to build is that is the path, that is the road that we should go together. We should go. We have, for example, as an agency, this understanding of tools, this understanding of best practices, how to build the journey, how different digital channels is working. But nevertheless, we can be the best agency in the world, but only you know the best your current situation, your brands, your current specific, country specific, and your needs. So no one will do it better than you. And kind of combining these two parts is really can give you good results. And of course, you can the same way you can implement the both approaches, the revolution and the evolution. Okay, the next question slides. Which part of the omnichannel journey is crucial? Crucial here is, first of all, just in general, understand your goals. After that, understand what would be the key steps, this kind of communication steps that you should take with your existing channels, and what is the couple of core messages, couple of core content pieces that you should in any way you should deliver to your audience. What is the kind of core message that you need to deliver, and how many messages after all you will need? Will you have this additional channel Will your journey utilize some advanced approach like machine learning and artificial intelligence? It's really, it's an add-on. It's not the baseline. Your baseline, in any way, is a clear KPI, at least to what extent you can define it. Core this touch points that you need to have with your audience during, for example, one cycle period, and the core content pieces that you core methods that you need to deliver. So you really need to define it from the very beginning, and after that you just can go live if you have some proper infrastructure, proper understanding, and after that trying to evolve to or move in the revolution steps to better approach. How do you define one way of omnichannel? I'm not sure that I understand your right, or what you mean by the one way. What would be the best way? I know evolution of evolution. What would be the best stage for you? It's really unique in each particular cases. Take into account what situation you currently have, what current situation regarding the infrastructure, tools, and all these kind of things. What is your MVP in your cases? What should we do in order to build this MVP, and when we potentially can go live? Okay, I don't think any. Which role you attract? Also, I'm not sure that I understand you right. Alex, if you can, please rephrase your question or raise your hand, and we will try to unmute you. Also, kind of colleagues, if you have any kind of questions that you would like to discuss without by voice, just raise your hand, and we will unmute you, and you will be able to ask it, and we can discuss it. Or just use the question section to drop your additional questions. Is there a standard measure you omnichannel? About a standard measure, you mean the kind of KPI system, what we're trying to measure? Yes, there's a couple of kind of best practices, best approach that we can take. So as we mentioned before, the KPI itself and KPI system, it's pretty big topic, and we have a plan to prepare a separate dedicated webinar to which will be fully dedicated to the KPI. But in general words, yes, there is a good practice regarding the what metrics we can use in omnichannel. In a couple of words, we tried to divide this metric in 3 different levels, in 3 different groups: business KPI, database healthcare, and the company journey level KPIs. But the actual numbers, this kind of level in each particular KPI, for example, how many, what open rate you should have, what open rate you should try to achieve. It's really depends on your kind of database loyalty, on your situation, on your previous communication, and it's really more or less unique in each particular case. So, for example, we can tell you that some benchmark, some average temperature in the hospital is 17% open rate, but in some project we see that this open rate is lower, 10% or so. In some project we can get the open rate up to 40 and 50%. So it's really not so good to try to set this KPIs from some market benchmark. It's the best way here is to fix what you have now and compare with yourself in dynamic. What is your current KPI compared to what you have in previous months, in 2 months ago, and so on, and what you will try to achieve in next months or next cycle period. I hope we answered your question. Okay, the next one, could you please see the previous question? What is your experience with timeline needed to develop and launch a campaign plan for 3 digital channels with coordinated content development, channels email, microsite webinars, assuming new channel for the organization, or a very basic? Once again, it really depends. And so if we will move under the premises all the things about the technical, because technical things about the tools and infrastructure that you have, it's really time consuming and resource consuming. So we have, in general, we have a good practice, for example, to launch from scratch, really from scratch, from migrating from one CRM to another CRM, from launching from scratch the omnichannel tool, and to go from the very beginning to this minimal viable product in 4 months, and achieve some really major level in 1 or 1.5 years. And when you're talking about that, you already have proper infrastructure, that you don't need really to do a lot of this technical things and so on. You just need to scale. You need to launch the journey. So when we're talking about the execution from the scratch and not taking into account the big strategic phase with all this kind of planning, segmentation, that also you already have it. So we can launch the journeys and prepare the content within a minimum 2 or 3 weeks, just executing the journey. But the part with all this kind of strategy, communication plan, and the segmentation can also take from 1 to 3 months. And you really should understand this kind of 3 different levels: the infrastructure, technical infrastructure, the marketing strategy, and the second, the execution. The timing for all of that can kind of really be different depending on what you already have. What is the minimal required for the client to launch the omnichannel? When we're talking about the infrastructure, so the minimal that you should have some you should have some database, in most cases some CRM, and some base of your HCPs of your subscribers, and you should have at least some tool, in best case scenario, market automation tool like Salesforce Marketing Cloud or so, or something like this, or something local platform that has given you this ability to actually send the communication. And also there's a good way to, from the very beginning, try to integrate this couple of tools. So you will have receive this audience update, new audience, and that you kind of try to that you have also the tool to launch this campaign. And the third crucial part, of course, is the content. This is kind of this content authoring solution, content management approach, how you will work with the content. Will you adapt it, what you are receiving from global, or you will create it by your own from scratch, because that's where the stand content is king. Yeah, and do you have it content right now? So once again, when you have the infrastructure, and when you have this kind of initial understanding what to do, in most way, the content preparation is most time and resource consuming, because we understand that we will need should have the idea, should have some creative part. We should produce this content. We should push this through the MLR process, and so on. So in most cases, our ability to create the journey and to launch the campaign is not the bottleneck. The bottleneck in most cases is the content in reality. Okay, once again, do you have services that assist with testing, optimization of the channel, analytics, A/B testing, response? Of course, we have kind of a lot of tools and best practices in order to work with the journey, with the content. Of course, it's analytics and build analytics in the in market automation platform. that give us the understanding what is going on. So the best definition for the analytic for us is analytics is that something that gives you the understanding about the current situation that will be transformed into actions. The separate things that we are using the analytics, for example, when we're talking about the web portals, we set up separate analytics tools like Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics and so on the web portals. And of course, we have the separate approach, separate best practices in the A/B testing. So it's pretty good to start with A/B testing from the very beginning. When we launch in the journey, we are creating this hypothesis, discussing it with you, and after that, we are trying to verify this hypothesis and to understand what is the best approach. So this kind of A/B testing approach is given for us this possibility to slowly, step by step, raising the effectiveness of our communications on this particular audience, for this particular tools, and this particular journey. So of course we have all this kind of tools and practices that we can share with our clients and can propose to you. From the very beginning, we try to understand what you currently have, what tools you are currently using, and try to propose these additional tools that can be helpful and valuable for all of us. Besides providing training to internal audience on what and how to use new channels for the customer engagement, what other tactics do you see as critical for internal audience to set the company up for a successful omnichannel execution? So as far as I understand, you're more kind of asking about this internal communication and how all the omnichannel project should be set up in this setup local and global. So the best practices here, as we mentioned before, is to communicate. So if you're global, try to, from the very beginning, try to inform the affiliates that you will start the project, and this project will consist of these parts. If you're local, try to ask the global kind of what they're planning. Also, we mentioned that it's really important to understand who will pay for what, who will do what part, and if global will not do something, for example, do you have the authority to do this? Because it's really a common situation when we have this request from locals when they really try to do something and have this kind of plan to do it. And after we started to this communication conversation, they are going to global, ask for some permissions, for example, and the global really refuse to do this permission when it's talking to the technical infrastructure and so on. So it's really important to understand from the very beginning what is your role in this process, what you can do and what you cannot do. And of course, and take what locals should really kind of do, try to focus from the very beginning on the content and on the KPIs. Try to look what content you already have, what content pieces you're already using, for example, in face-to-face channel and face-to-face communication, and can you really reuse this content in your journeys. And also the good tactics here is to take all the possible contents, approved modules and so on from the global and trying to localize it to your local needs. It really will help you to reduce the costs and to start the omnichannel much faster. And the good tactic here, some kind of just a couple of maybe just to share you a couple of slides. Not wait when you just will grow your database to the big numbers. When you at least have some database and you are really starting to grow it, trying to get new consents and so on, from this moment, try to set up at least the simple, straightforward welcome journey that will be your new and existing subscribers will automatically enroll to, and provide some of this basic communication to their existing database from the very beginning. So you, for example, get a couple of 1,000, for example, subscribers with a new consent, and it should be launched automatically the welcome journey for them from the very beginning. It's really good kind of practice to start with this, not waiting when your database will grow to some big numbers. So there's a lot of kind of this good practices and tactics that can be utilized. It's a big separate kind of discussion. If you're also interested in this, kind of please reach us and we can discuss it in you privately. Okay, once besides still, okay, do you define infrastructure starting with a CRM? Yes, kind of in most cases, the pharmaceutical company has some CRM, and we are kind of trying to build the infrastructure based on what you already have. So in most cases, we're not kind of offering to drop everything that you have and build it from scratch. We're trying to understand what you have, what CRM you have, and once again, as we mentioned, so CRM, marketing automation tool, and this managed content management approach and solution is the three main parts that you should have on the early stages. From this kind of point, you can start your omnichannel project and move forward to more advanced stuff. Nice hair. I suppose it's compliment for Vlada, not for me. Okay, do you colleagues, do you have any kind of other questions? Please kind of feel free to ask it in chat or raise your hand. Okay, I suppose we don't see any new questions rising in our chat, so I suppose that's all. Thank you all for your time, for you kind of put your efforts to listen our more than 1 hour speech. If you have any kind of additional questions, please just contact with us. We will be glad to discuss it with you, try to advise something, try to help you, and try to discuss your needs and your local or global situation. Depends on what you have. So thank you once again. Take care, stay safe.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.